What if the stranger sitting next to you on the platform knew you were about to die? What if the walls in your house started whispering your name at 3 a.m.? And what if one night, your own reflection moved before you did? These aren't urban legends. These are real stories. And once you hear them, you won't sleep the same way ever again. Story 1. The Train Station Girl. It was the kind of story that starts with something completely normal. A routine. A guy like you, like me, just catching a train to get to work. His name was Kyle, 26. Lived in a small town outside of Boston. Took the same train every weekday at 7:12 a.m. Nothing ever happened. Nothing ever changed until one Tuesday morning in October. That day, Kyle was running a little late. Just a few minutes, but enough to make him jog the last block to the station. The platform was already crowded, but as he reached the stairs, he noticed something weird. There was a girl sitting alone on a bench near the far end of the platform. That wasn't strange in itself. People sit on benches. But there was something off. She wasn't on her phone. She wasn't reading. She wasn't even looking at the tracks. Just sitting, still, staring at the opposite wall, completely motionless. Kyle paused for a second, curious, and kept moving. He got on the train, found a seat by the window, and kind of forgot about her, until the next morning. There she was again. Same bench, same clothes, same posture. This time, Kyle couldn't help himself. He stared a little longer. Still no phone, still no movement, not even a blink. Just those wide eyes staring forward, like she was watching something that wasn't there. It gave him goosebumps. But hey, maybe she was waiting for someone. Maybe she had a thing for early mornings. Maybe she was just weird. Whatever. He shrugged it off. But the third morning, that's when things started to get real. Because that day, Kyle got there earlier than usual. It was still dark, a little foggy, and there she was already there. Sitting, waiting, same exact position, same clothes. This time, Kyle walked over, trying to be subtle. He sat on the bench next to her, keeping a little distance. She didn't even look at him, didn't flinch. Up close, it was worse. Her skin looked pale, her lips a little too blue for comfort. He glanced over and whispered, "Hey, you okay?" No answer, not even a twitch. Then, without turning her head, she said, very softly, "They're still in the tunnel." Kyle blinked. "What?" She didn't respond, just stared forward. Kyle stood up, confused and a little freaked out. He looked around. No one else had heard. The train pulled in a minute later, and Kyle got on without looking back. But all day, her words echoed in his head. "They're still in the tunnel." Who's they? Why the tunnel? The next morning, Kyle brought coffee. Dumb maybe, but he had this weird guilt, like he'd left someone behind in a dream. When he got to the platform, she was already there. Of course, same clothes, same pose. He sat down again, this time closer. "I brought you this," he said, holding out the coffee. Slowly, finally, she turned her head toward him. Her eyes were dark, not black, just hollow, like she hadn't slept in weeks. She looked at the cup, then back at him. "You shouldn't be here today," she whispered, then turned her head back to the wall. Kyle froze. "Why?" he asked. She didn't answer, but this time she was shaking. Barely, but it was there. The tremor in her shoulders, in her fingers resting on her lap. He didn't know what to do. Then the horn of the train echoed in the distance. She flinched. "Don't get on," she said. "Not today." Kyle felt his stomach drop. "Why not?" Her voice cracked. "Because they're going to take someone." The train arrived. People stood up, walked past, climbed on. Kyle just sat there, torn between logic and instinct. It made no sense. But something about the way she said it, like she knew, like she'd seen it. "What happens if I don't get on?" he asked. She didn't answer, just looked straight ahead again. Kyle didn't move. The doors closed. The train left without him. And then the platform was quiet. For the first time, the girl stood up. Kyle turned to her. "Who are you?" She shook her head. "I'm not supposed to be here anymore." Then she walked toward the end of the platform, toward the tunnel entrance, where the train had come from. Kyle followed, heart pounding. "What do you mean?" She didn't stop, just kept walking until she reached the gate that blocked access to the tunnel. She turned to face him one last time. "They got me last year. Same day, same train." Kyle felt the blood drain from his face. "What?" She gave a small smile. "I just didn't want to be alone." And then she walked through the gate. Not opened it, walked through it, like smoke, and faded into the tunnel. Kyle never saw her again. But that morning, the train he was supposed to be on derailed 3 minutes after entering the tunnel. 3 people died. 13 were injured. The cause was never officially explained. Kyle never told anyone what the girl had said. But every year, on the same day, he returns to the station, just in case she comes back. And every year, he brings 2 coffees. One for him, one for the girl on the bench. Story 2. The whistling in the walls. Tyler never believed in haunted houses. He was the kind of guy who rolled his eyes at horror movies and joked during ghost tours. But that changed the summer he moved into the Oak Ridge house. He and his wife Mia had been looking for months' tight budget, baby on the way, desperate to find something bigger than their cramped apartment. The Oak Ridge place was perfect. 4 bedrooms, a backyard, a quiet street, and most importantly, affordable. Way too affordable. Mia had hesitated, said the place gave her a weird feeling. But Tyler convinced her. "Come on, we're not characters in a horror movie." He laughed. Famous last words. They moved in during a heat wave. The first 2 weeks were chaotic, but happy. Boxes everywhere, paint fumes, takeout on the floor, and laughter echoing through empty rooms. But then, the whistling started. It was faint at first, just a soft note, like someone blowing air through pursed lips. Tyler first heard it one night around 3 a.m. He got up to pee and froze halfway down the hall. From inside the nursery, still empty, just painted a soft green, he heard it. A single, long whistle, high-pitched, like a lullaby. He pushed the door open. Nothing. The window was shut. The baby monitor was off. He told himself it was just the pipes, or maybe whined through a crack in the wall. He didn't mention it to Mia, but then it happened again. And again, always late, always from the same room. A week later, Mia brought it up. "Hey, have you heard someone whistling?" Tyler's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" She shrugged, trying to act casual. "Just like a tune in the walls." "At night?" Tyler forced a laugh. "Probably the neighbors." But their nearest neighbor was 2 houses down. The whistling got louder, started moving. Sometimes it came from the hallway, sometimes from behind the bathroom mirror. It always sounded the same, 3 slow notes, like someone signaling something. Then the scratching started, light at first, like fingernails on drywall, then louder, more frantic. One night, Mia screamed from the kitchen. Tyler ran in to find her staring at the wall above the sink. "It was behind there," she said, pale. "I heard it scraping, like it was trying to get out." Tyler pressed his ear to the wall. Nothing. But when he pulled back, a chill ran through him. There were 3 long scratches on the plaster, fresh, deep. The next day, he tore open that part of the wall. Just insulation and wood. No animals. No signs of infestation, but the air inside smelled wrong. Damp, old, like something had died a long time ago. That night, they tried to sleep. Around 2:50 a.m., Tyler woke up to the sound of the baby mobile spinning. The nursery was still empty. The mobile was battery-powered and turned off, but it was spinning slowly, the soft melody playing. Then came the whistling, right behind him. He spun around. No one there. Mia was still asleep. He wanted to wake her, but something inside him whispered, "Don't move, don't speak. Just listen." The whistle repeated. 3 notes, and silence, and a whisper right in his ear. Almost time. The next morning, he installed cameras, audio recorders, everything he could think of, but they picked up nothing. No sounds, no movement, just hours of static. Until one night, around 3 a.m., the nursery camera shut off for exactly 12 seconds. When it turned back on, the mobile was spinning, and the rocking chair was swaying slightly. They left the house the next day, booked a hotel, called in a specialist, a guy who dealt with this kind of thing. He walked through the house, completely silent. When he reached the nursery, he stopped. "You hear the whistling?" Tyler nodded. "It's not the house," the man said. "It's not even the walls. It's her." "Her?" Mia asked. The man pointed to the far corner of the nursery. "There. That's where she was found 60 years ago, little girl. Locked in that room by her father. She used to whistle for help." "She died in there?" Tyler asked, his voice shaking. The man nodded. "Nobody came. But now she whistles to let you know she's still waiting." "Waiting for what?" The man didn't answer. "Just left." That night, Tyler dreamt of a girl with no eyes sitting in the corner, whistling the same tune. When he woke up, his feet were covered in drywall dust. They never went back. The Oak Ridge house is still listed, still cheap, and still empty. Except at night, when the nursery window fogs up from the inside. And if you listen close, you might hear it. 3 slow notes, calling. Story 3. The Woman in the Mirror. Lucas never feared mirrors. In fact, he kind of liked them. He was that guy who checked his reflection way too often, fixing his hair, adjusting his shirt, making sure he looked presentable. So when he moved into his new apartment and saw that the bedroom had an old full-length mirror bolted to the wall, he didn't think twice. It wasn't fancy kind of antique, with a dark wooden frame and slightly clouded glass, but it added a bit of charm to the otherwise bland room. The landlord had told him the mirror came with the place, couldn't be removed, part of the structure or whatever. Lucas didn't mind, not at first. The first night in the new place, Lucas stayed up late unpacking. Around 2 a.m., he stood in front of the mirror, brushing his teeth, and noticed something strange. His reflection blinked, just a fraction too slow. Like a delay. He paused, looked again. Everything seemed fine. Probably just tired. A trick of the light. But over the next few days, things got weirder. It started small. He'd catch his reflection smiling when he wasn't, or moving a split second after he did. One morning, he looked into the mirror and saw himself standing exactly the same, but the background behind the reflection didn't match. In the mirror, the bedroom door was slightly open. In real life, it was shut. He turned to check. The door was definitely closed. When he looked back, the reflection matched again. He laughed it off. "I need sleep," he muttered. But that night, things escalated. He woke up around 3:17 a.m. for no reason. The room was cold, too cold. He sat up and glanced toward the mirror, and that's when he saw it. His reflection was already sitting up, staring at him. Lucas froze. He slowly raised his right hand. The reflection didn't move. He dropped it. The reflection grinned. Lucas jumped out of bed, turned on the light, and the reflection snapped back to normal. Just him, pale, sweating, eyes wide. He didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, he called the landlord. "Hey, that mirror in the bedroom. Can I cover it? The landlord hesitated. I wouldn't recommend that. Why not? Some tenants tried. It didn't help. Sometimes made it worse. Made what worse? A pause. Just keep the lights on at night. Lucas hung up, heart pounding. He went straight to a hardware store, bought a thick bedsheet, and duct taped it over the mirror. That night, he slept better, until 3:17 a.m. A sound woke him, soft, rhythmic, like a faint tapping. He turned on the lamp. The sheet over the mirror was rippling. Something behind it was moving. He watched, frozen, as 5 faint outlines pressed against the fabric like fingertips. Then, a single sharp tap, and another. Lucas bolted out of bed, ripped the sheet down. The mirror was still there, silent, still, but his reflection was smiling, eyes black. Lucas backed away slowly, heart hammering. He didn't know what to do. He avoided the mirror the next day, didn't even look at it while changing clothes. That night, he stayed up with the lights on. 3:17 came and went. Nothing happened. He exhaled. Maybe it was over. He went to bed, exhausted. But the next morning, he found something that made his blood run cold. On the glass of the mirror, faintly written in condensation, were the words, "Why won't you look at me?" He stood there for a long time, then wiped it away, but it came back the next day, and the next. Different messages. "Let me in. We're not so different. I see you even when you don't see me." Lucas stopped sleeping. He started recording himself at night. The first few nights, nothing happened, just him tossing and turning. But on the 4th night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the footage glitched. For 12 seconds, the screen went black. When it came back, Lucas was standing in front of the mirror, eyes open, motionless, just standing. Then he turned around and got back into bed. The next morning, he had no memory of it. But he checked his feet. They were dirty, as if he'd walked through dust. That's when he realized he wasn't just dreaming. Something was pulling him toward the mirror. At night, when he was most vulnerable, he called in a friend who knew about weird stuff. Paranormal hobbyist, not a pro, but someone Lucas trusted. The guy walked into the room and stopped cold. "That's not a mirror," he said. "It's a window, and something on the other side wants to switch places." Lucas laughed nervously. "Switch places?" "It watches you," the friend said. "It learns you, mimics you, until one day, it steps out and you don't." That night, Lucas did everything he could. Covered the mirror in salt, lit candles, stayed up with every light on. 3:17 a.m., the mirror cracked. A long, thin fracture from top to bottom. Lucas stared at it, breathing hard. In the reflection, his image stared back, then raised a hand and pointed. Behind Lucas, he turned around. Nothing there. But when he looked back, the reflection was gone. Just an empty room. Lucas screamed. The lights flickered. The mirror shook. Then silence. And just like that, everything stopped. Days passed. No messages. No tapping. No late-night staring contests. The mirror was just a mirror again. Cracked, dull, harmless. Or so he thought. 2 weeks later, Lucas was brushing his teeth, half asleep, when he noticed something off. In the reflection, the room was flipped, completely reversed, like a mirror world. And standing in the doorway of that reversed room was him, but not quite. Same face, but the eyes were wrong. Too wide, too dark, too knowing, and he was smiling. Lucas dropped the toothbrush, backed away, blinked. When he looked again, the reflection was normal. But for a second, he could have sworn he saw a smudge on the inside of the glass, like a fingerprint. From the other side, he moved out the next day, left the mirror behind. But sometimes in other reflections in windows, in puddles, in store security screens, he catches a glimpse of something. Someone staring back, smiling, waiting. And always, always at 3:17,